Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm your host, Lance Gormley. Our guest on the program today is Mike Fellows. How you doing today, Mike?
Great, Lance. Thanks for having me out here.
Yeah, Mike Fellows, for those that know and some that don't, is the 4th Ward Precinct Committeeman. So I happen to live in the 4th Ward, so he's my precinct committeeman. So I've got to know Mike over a long period of time here, probably 4 or 5 years, I would say. Maybe at least.
It has been.
Yeah, that's crazy looking back.
And some good adventures.
Yeah, it's been fun the whole time. People have seen us skipping hand in hand a time or two, haven't they?
Knocking on doors.
Yeah, that's awesome. So needless to say, Mike is very active in the party, and so he's even doing a little bit more than just doing things that have to do with the Republican Party here in the community, and he's doing a Constitution Essay Contest with a scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah,
we developed an award system for the first, second, and third place winners.
Okay.
And we modeled the program off of something I saw years ago, and the opportunity was here finally to put something together.
Okay. Very cool. Which I am going to learn all about this because we've talked just briefly. And I said, Mike, this is cool enough of a thing that's going on that we want to show people in Harvey County and outside of Harvey County what kind of good quality people we have and what they're trying to do within our community. So, with that being said, who is Mike Fellows? Where did Mike come from? Where did you grow up? Where were you born? If you want to give me the rundown on who Mike is.
Well, born in Omaha, Nebraska, moved to Kansas in 1983. Spent most of my time in western Kansas out in Hayes.
Okay.
Then, because of some job situations, I relocated to the Newton area, married a local teacher, and found out that once you marry a local teacher, your opportunities to move with other companies kind of end.
Yeah.
So I've kind of adapted and adjusted to the job skills that I had, and
awesome.
Been involved with the lumber industry, which is what I like to do.
Very cool. And you're thinking lumber industry in Nebraska. By goodness, they got to have one because they got to build stuff, but there's not a lot of trees there in Nebraska, right?
We have a national forest.
Well, yeah. I'll say this. So you're a Cornhusker. Are you Cornhusker through and through?
Through and through.
Oh, my word. So you're a Nebraska fan for the football, for the everything, and everything in between.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. Good. So do you ever feel out of place here in Kansas with all these Jayhawkers and Wildcats and Shockers?
I married a Wildcat.
Yeah.
And she also got a degree from Wichita State, so I kind of just part of the group.
Yeah. And I mean, can't leave out, the Fort Hays State Tigers, given the fact that you lived in Hays, right? So
I was there that season. They had their undefeated team.
Very cool.
Actually was able to employ their starting point guard where I used to work, Jeff Eck.
Huh. Small world.
It was.
Very small world.
Yes.
And there, as far as Hays goes, I've been through there and lived out by there for years of my life and my elementary years. And it's kind of the I don't want to call it the Mecca, but the place where a lot of people from, at least 60 miles or more around there go for services.
Well, that, and they have a university that's very well established and very well known.
Yeah.
So that's the big draw, I think, to the town.
All right, so you come to Newton, right? And Mike steps foot in Newton, Kansas. I'm guessing you loved it from the moment that you saw it.
And it's what I really liked about it is I was working for Skyline Homes, and they gave me a unique opportunity. It's just with a downturn in the housing industry in 2009, that division wasn't able to remain open. So that was the transition from building homes to selling lumber. Yeah,
nice. Very good. Yep. No, so since you've been in Newton or Harvey County, you've obviously been active. Did you come to Harvey County with the intent that you wanted to be involved in a local party?
I knew I wanted to be involved at the local grassroots level just because I didn't have any other ties. I was new to the area and don't have children living at home, so there was opportunity with time where I could invest it in other things.
Okay. So then did you do that right away? You just opened up the paper and looked for or did you go out in search of other people that were doing kind of this, wanting to be involved in the same things you were?
It was a gradual transition to get involved with the local Republican Party. Milton Wolf's kind of the one that helped open that door, just because of a lot of energy in the Newton area to support Milton Wolf when he ran against Pat Roberts.
Okay.
And that's what kind of opened the door to getting involved with that party, with the Republican Party locally.
Okay.
And it's just kind of grown over time. So.
Yeah. Well, I would say now, I mean, fast forward, I know you've been involved in all kinds of things. I've seen you at all kinds of, anything they have. It's not a lot, but when they have things, I see you there. I know that you're active in your precinct, because you walk and you talk, and I mean, we see each other on a regular basis, and we're always talking about what's going on, right? And you're always trying to inform me and keep me up to date on things that are going on, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's part of what I think we're supposed to do. My understanding is really a precinct committee person he's the neighborhood person. I really see our function should be to welcome people to our area, because we should be familiar with it, and when people come in and go out, and greet them, welcome them to Newton, Kansas, and if they want to get involved, instead of trying to have them go figure it out, we can extend a hand and ask them if they're looking for something they can be involved with.
Yeah, plug into.
Whether it's with the party or other groups you might be affiliated with, even if it's just the local church that you might go to.
So for the audience that might not know, and obviously for those that do, you have to actually file to be elected to the position of precinct committee man or woman of that specific ward within the county of a political party. So Mike had to, at some point in time, through this, decide that you wanted to step up and file to be a precinct committee person, or the precinct committee man for your ward.
Right.
And then by doing that, then just kind of walk me through the process of that.
Well, first year I ran, I didn't win. I'm actually in Charlie Trigg's precinct.
Okay.
And he had a lot of support. It was kind of interesting. I think it was within 8 votes between him and me.
Wow.
But again, part of what I saw is Charlie was a precinct committee person for a long time, but I never saw him on my doorstep. And it used to kind of make me wonder, what were they supposed to do if they didn't come ask you to be involved? So that's why I kind of take a different approach, is I really think that people that are affiliated with the party, they might not have information always available to them, because it might not be in the newspaper, it's not going to be in a radio or TV program. So really, grassroots, word of mouth, whatever you want to call it, knocking on a door and saying hello.
Yeah.
To me, that's probably what we're supposed to go do. Because again, I look at it more as being a neighborhood. And I'm fortunate enough that my precinct is walkable, doable. Some might not be. But it lets you also kind of see the differences in the area that you live, because I go from probably some houses in the town that have some of the highest real estate value to some homes that probably have the lower or lowest real estate value. So you can see there's quite a difference just in the types of houses and where people live. We live in a moderate home, and just down the street there's some very nice homes.
Yeah.
So, but we're all in the same neighborhood. And that's what I think is important.
And that's kind of interesting too, taking the path that you're taking, which is going out and knocking on people's doors and getting to know them. There's probably a wide array of things that people are concerned with, or that people will talk to you about. What comes up on their radar and what their concern is usually stems back to something more personal in their life, right? Or how they view something. I'm aware of this. So, Do you when you walk the precinct, and you mentioned you have 2 diametrically opposed situations, do the things that they want to talk about and the things they're concerned with differ from time to time?
Like the last time when we really did a lot of door knocking, and it was with the Value Them Both movement, and it was interesting how some people wanted to hear about it, some people who knew very little about it, some people that had information that wasn't correct. So you were able to at least provide that information, or give them answers, or tell them where they could go look things up if they needed to online. and just make them aware that there was something that was important to vote on. Because I think a lot, the other part of it is you have to encourage people to be involved also. And,
Yeah.
and being a citizen means you take the responsibility and the time to go vote. Whether there's all the different avenues that you can go do it anymore, whether it's the day of the vote or vote early or vote by mail. Newton provides all the different ways that you can go do that now.
Yeah. See, so the second time around, it took you twice, but the second time around, you became the precinct committee person for your precinct. And then what was some of the things that you started doing just right away in that capacity? Because it's a volunteer position, right? For every Republican that is one, there's probably a Democrat that's one, or could be potentially Libertarian. That's all kind of same thing when it comes to party structure.
Sure.
But for you and you taking the different approach that you're taking, what was something that you just kind of started to do day one? I mean,
well, I've been involved with the party long enough that I have some connections in terms of the local people, but then I'm also a district captain for Convention of States. So for about the last 6 years, I've been involved with that organization, which, again, it's another grassroots organization that is in search of Article 5 of the Constitution, which gives the state legislatures the opportunity to actually amend the Constitution. Because, quite frankly, I don't think the people that, even though we elect them and they think that they support us, they're not in a position where they can go really readily change the Constitution. And there may be things like term limits where they don't even want to talk about it.
yeah. Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah,
We will see a lot of people that say they want to do that until they say, well, how about for your position? Why don't you self-regulate? Well, there's nobody doing that really.
Yeah, and so there's two different ways to go change the Constitution. Article 5 gives us the second, which is the state legislatures. And when you really go think about it, at least the way I feel about it, if we didn't have state legislatures, we wouldn't have a Constitution. Because even though they had a constitutional convention where they proposed the Constitution, it still had to go back to all 13 of the states. And you had to have 75% of the state legislatures approve what they had, the Constitution. And otherwise, we wouldn't have a United States any longer. And of course, that's what prompted me into this contest that we're having. Is part of the training that I got to watch or go through is I had seen where a group of people with Convention of States actually sponsored it, but they were able to develop a essay contest for the high school kids about the Constitution.
Okay, this is the Convention of States did this.
They had their own program, and I watched how it worked. So I've always tried to find an opportunity or a reason where I thought we could use it in Newton, Kansas.
Yeah, duplicate good processes.
Well, last year, Newton High didn't always get good news. We had enough things happen that caused a lot of consternation in the community and things like that. So I wanted to come up with some way to try and bring the community together, give people a reason to celebrate something. So last February, I dedicated myself to try and develop a contest for the high school seniors at Newton High to write an essay about the Constitution from a question that was developed for them so that they could do the research and prepare the paperwork and then be able to present it in written form for us. So I made a commitment last February to start working on it. And then I got to meet with, at a legislative update meeting with Fred Van Rankin, some of our local elected people, Carolyn McGinn, Avery Anderson, Stephen Owens, Melissa Schreiber was there, and I proposed this idea that I've been formulating for a long time. And when I talked to them about it at the meeting, they would all support it. So that kind of gave me the impetus to keep going on this program. And then following that, I was able to, with Fred's support, I went and talked to Blake Smith, sent him an email, called him on the phone, and told him what I was trying to do. And Blake got right behind it. Well, the whole thing that catalyst to me knowing I could make this work is I was in my precinct when I was knocking on the doors. I met the social science teacher that's in my precinct and got to spend some time visiting with them and came to realize that I could work with him and he could work with me and we could develop this program. So after Blake Smith blessed it basically and allowed it to happen, I got a hold of him, and so we worked on a program all summer, and on the 18th of September we're going to introduce a essay contest for the seniors at Newton High and have them the opportunity to win up to $600 if their paper is wins the contest.
Okay, so I'm understanding kind of the facts behind the process, and then I guess I just want to kind of dive in. There was a couple places through there that I had some questions that cropped up in my mind, and you know, when you set out to do something and you're doing it largely, you know, you're piloting something really. I mean, you kind of had a little bit. You had said you had a little bit of, well, how this had been done in a different way, in a different capacity, and then
Right.
had the desire to implement that. So
Right.
then when you started doing that, well, you were all alone at that point, right? I mean, there was
Yeah.
nobody else like, hey, let's, you know, there was no bouncing it off of nobody. It was that this would be something that would be beneficial to our community, and so you set out to do it, not knowing whether or not in the end, right, that it would come to fruition or that it would wind up doing what it's doing today. Because after you said you showed up at a legislative update, I mean, you had nothing but green lights.
Yeah.
I mean, so far you've had nothing but green lights from what I'm understanding, through school administration, through individuals who are elected officials that want to support it, up to the highest elected officials that you can, you know, cast your ballot for here in Harvey County.
Yeah, it's again, that's exactly what it is. It's an opportunity, just voluntary opportunity. It's not a requirement to school. They're not going to get graded at school, and so what we've had to do is, you know, put together a team of 6 judges, all local people, 3 school board people, and a city commissioner, the county attorney, and then the commander of the American Legion.
Really?
And-
So okay, can I know who these people are? Surely you could tell me who these judges are.
Well,
Because that's not all of them. You know, I mean, I can do the math. It's like, okay, wait, something's not right. Well, you know,
Well-
not that it's not right, but that there were people that volunteered their time already to be able to be a part of this,
Right.
to encourage this. I'd kind of like to know who those people are.
well, I'll start with city commissioners, Rod Cry.
Nice,
County attorney of court is Heather Figger.
nice. There's
And
only
then-
one of those.
Yeah, there's only one of those.
Yeah.
And the American Legion commander is David Crow.
Awesome.
And on top of that, he's going to let us use his facility where we're going to gather all the judges together when we have the night of judgment, or whatever you want to
Right.
go call it. And then on the school board, we're going to have Melissa Shriver,
Okay,
Andy Ortiz, and then Brenna Haynes.
nice.
So we've got people representing USD 373, then we've got other local officials that represent different aspects of the community.
Yeah, of the public, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that's, I think, really unique about it is because of the way we're trying to develop the judging process is the final round, all 6 of the judges will have to pick the winner. So in other words, it's going to have to appeal to a lot of different perspectives of how people look at the world and the Constitution.
See, and that's amazing. Okay, so I'm a fan of the Constitution, obviously. You're a fan of the Constitution, obviously. But for somebody that might be listening to this that doesn't understand, well, what's all the hype about, right? I mean, and truly, there will be people that will listen and just, they'll think it's interesting and cool, but there might even be some that wonder, like, well, what's the Constitution really about? What is the, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, we're you know.
Yeah, it's, you know, and that'll be kind of the fun thing about this. We've got the question now, and the local papers are going to cover it, and in fact have offered to even publish the paper. I think for the whole community, it's going to be a learning experience. Once that information hits the paper and they see what the kids come up with and how they answer this question, you know, and again, I'm hoping to bring this to tie the community together with this effort because the awards are going to be presented right before the next round of elections. So we'll have a little bit of excitement, I hope, about an election process and seniors in high school taking some responsibility and learning some civic duties, because many of them will probably be able to vote for their first time.
Yeah. Well, and I want to clarify something here, just to ask a question. You're obviously Republican. Some of the people that, they're all nonpartisan, right? Heather Figure is the only one that would be a partisan elected position that you mentioned as far as judges.
True.
This is not something just for somebody who identifies as a Republican or a Democrat. This is a nonpartisan civic process in which all individuals, regardless of political affiliation or ideology or belief, can be given a question about what. I don't know the question. Yeah. I wish I knew the question, but let's just say what does the Constitution mean to you, right? Yeah. As bland as that might be.
Yeah.
And then they're given, try to condense that into how many words is it?
It's 750 words.
Okay, so that's not easy to do.
No.
That's not easy to do. I've had to learn how to do that over time, and I tell you, I don't know. That's a challenge in and of itself to anybody, let alone a high school senior. So good. That's cool. That's a challenge. That makes it even more exciting, honestly.
And again, I think it's a great opportunity. To teach them how to get involved, possibly to show them that there is things that they can go do, and then just the fact that it's bringing together such a unique group of people.
Yeah.
I think when we get this all said and done. Just the different factions of the judges, and right now we're planning on having all of our elected officials there at the awards ceremony. We've got to firm up some times and dates and make sure they don't have a conflict. But because the ultimate goal of this pilot program, I'll call it, is for Harvey County. That's the ultimate goal, is to have the Harvey County Constitution Contest.
Okay.
But we're modeling it at Newton to make sure it will work, that it functions, so to speak, and then my ultimate goal is to have Harvey County as the first county in Kansas that has a Constitution Contest like this. Again, just to bring everything back to Harvey as a community and the 5 high schools that are here.
Yeah, we're trailblazers.
That's
what we are in Harvey County. If you come here and you're not from here and you're a Cornhusker, you turn into a Cornhusking trailblazer.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Thank you, Mike. Well, folks, there you have it. And thanks for listening to this episode of Harvey County Talk. Our guest was Mike Fellows, and as always, I was your host, Lance Gormley.